Hi and welcome to this video on Holly Lets, where I just want to talk to you about the real profits in Holly Lets. Now, you might say, well, what do you mean by that, Aaron? They make £30,000 a year, don't they? Aren't they the real profits? Well, there are 4 profit levers. If you remember my other teaching, there are 4 profit levers in any property strategy that you're running. And I want to get really clear and help this land with you, this properly land with you, so you understand how profitable Holly Lets are, okay? So let's look at the first profit lever, okay? I don't know if you remember, but what's the first profit lever? The first profit lever is the ability to buy a property for discount. Now, how many times does that pay you? That pays you once. You only get to buy for discount once. Yes, you can then refinance in a couple of years and draw out 75% of that discounted equity, but you only get to do it once. So for Holly Lets, to be honest with you, it's not a key driver for me. With a Holly Let property, I'll pay asking price if I have to. I'm a tight Yorkshireman. I always want a discount. I'll get the best discount I can. But if I can't get a discount with a Holly Let, I'll still buy it. To be honest, if it's £10,000 over what I think it's worth, I'd probably still buy it if it's the right property and it meets the right rules. So discount is not my main driver because it only pays me once. Remember, the other 3 profit levers, and if this is the first time you've heard me talk about profit levers, the other 3 profit levers pay you forever. So what's the second profit lever? Well, the second profit lever is cash flow. Cash flow, okay? And this pays you forever. It pays you this year, next year, the year after, the year after. Once you're dead, it pays your surviving children, then it pays your grandchildren, then your great, right? Forever. And let's say it's £30,000 a year, okay? Now, what's the third profit lever? Well, the third profit lever is equity growth, okay? Equity growth. Now, equity growth is property going up in value. How often does this pay you? This pays you forever because over time, property always goes up. And on average, for the last 90 years plus now, 7.9% per annum of growth on average. That includes the drops, the downturns, the flat periods. That's the average. That's the average. And what's the fourth profit lever? It's the ability to refinance, the ability to have a property go up in value, go back to the bank and say, it's worth more now. Can I borrow 75% of the new value, please? And release some money back out. That's either back in your pocket now for you to spend on what you want, or back in your pocket to buy more investment properties and grow your portfolio, okay? And to get number 4 to work, number 2 and 3 both have to be at the table. Well, with Holly Lets, there's definitely cash flow at the table, and there'll be equity growth at the table. Okay. Now, some of your Holly Lets, if you're buying them in a more remote place or in a village, there is a risk that the prices don't go up just as smoothly as the national average goes up. Over time, they'll go up the same, but it might be a bit more lumpy. Okay, if the local factory shuts down in the village, for example, I tell you not to buy a buy-to-let in a village, because if the local factory shuts down, 100 people lose their job, it affects their prices in the village for the next 10 years. Okay, so you run that risk if you're in a village or a small area. If you're in a seaside town, it's not a village, not so much of a risk. Okay, but I just want you to be clear on that there is a risk there. But let's have a look at this, right? Now we understand these profit levers. Let's look at a Holly Let and look at it over the next 40 years. Let's assume you're going to live for another 40 years, okay? So we go buy this Holly Let. I just swap my colours out here. And when we buy this Holly Let, we get nothing for the discount because we pay it for full price, right? But over 40 years, at 30 grand a year, what's that going to make you? It's going to make you £1.2 million of cash flow. If you do the work, people come to me and say, it's hard to find these Holly Lets. I'm like, well, yeah. It's going to make you £1.2 million that you won't have if you don't find one. Is it worth a few more weeks of looking? Yes, right? So if it's hard, I don't care. In fact, I like it. It's hard. Otherwise, everybody be getting them all the time, right? £1.2 million. That's why I want another 8 this year, because they'll make me £10 million. The work I do this year will set me up to make £10 million over the next 40 years of cash flow alone. Now, equity growth. Let's say you go buy a Holly Let, right, and you buy it for 400k. And this is not a trick question, right? They double in value on average every 8 years. To make my maths easy, let's say it's every 10 years. So 10 years from now, it's worth how much? The property you bought is worth 800k. 10 years after that, 1.6 million. Those of you sat there going, surely this can't be the case. Think back the last 20, 30 years, the house you're in now, what was it worth? right? 10 years after that, 3.2 million. 10 years after that, by year 40, the house is worth 6.4 million pounds. This is a property that you just bought for 400,000 pounds. So it's gone up in value 6 million pounds. 6 million pounds. So your 1.2 million of cash flow plus your 6 million, this property, by the fact you own it, has made you 7.2 million pounds. If it takes a bit of work to find it, is it worth it? Yes. If it takes a bit more work to find it, is it still worth it? Yes. It's going to make you 7.2 million pounds. Even if I halve that, it's going to make you 3.6 million pounds over the next 40 years. Divide that by 40, it's the equivalent of 90 grand per annum, right? It's ridiculous. 3.6 million pounds, and that's half of what it will likely make you. In likelihood, it's going to make you 7.2 million, right? If that hasn't blown your brains, I don't know what will. You have to either find the money, if you haven't got it already, or take the money you've already got. You have to find one of these holiday lets and buy it, set it up properly, and it's going to make you 7.2 million pounds over the next 40 years. I really hope this is landing right. It's crazy. I haven't even factored in the refinance yet, have I? Because as it goes up in value and you refinance it, first of all, you'll get all your money back out you put into the deal. So that's an infinite return. And then you can buy another. And then you've got two going up and you refinance both of those, you can buy another two. Generally, over a 10-year period, if you start with one holiday let, you'll have 3 in 10 years, just without putting any more money in. Then you'll have 9 10 years after that, 27 10 years after that, 81 10 years after that. So the fact you get one now, let's halve that. It's still 40 in 40 years. Let's halve that again, 20 holiday lets in 40 years. The fact you bothered to get one now will set you up for 20 lots of 7.2 million. That is 140 million pounds, right? Let's halve that again. It's 70 million pounds. I've halved things like 3, 4, 5 times. Find one holiday let, follow the model, and you make 70 million quid. It's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing when you start to understand these numbers. Now, I don't need you to overly understand the detail of the numbers, although understanding it is great for you. And if you're looking for JV partners to attract into this, it just kills it. You show them those numbers, and especially if you're offering 50-50, they're going to throw their money at you, provided you learn how to cover it with them. But that's how to cover it with them. And you can look this video, you can go back through it again and again and again if you'd like to.